This is your updated gig news for June 2025. We got a lot of news stories today. So if you drive for basically any niche you can think of, my name's Mike. If this is the first time you and I are meeting, every month I go over the latest gig economy and side hustle news as someone who's done gig work here in Pittsburgh, in San Diego, California since 2015. Thousands and thousands of trips and transactions. But if you want the short version, just sign up for our newsletter. yourdrivermike.com/newsletter. In this video, we're going to build off of these major stories to give you a little bit more context. You can understand what's going on in this gig economy on the apps that you're working on every day. Maybe not every day, every week, every month. How often are you working on different gig apps? I've done basically all of them, different apps and niches as discussed. Story number one, a lot with DoorDash, a lot. Look at this. So pretty big news. I mean, you would think DoorDash pilots a redesigned Dasher app. That's kind of a big deal. Let's take a look here. So they just announced this a couple of weeks ago. And yeah, it's kind of a big deal if you're a DoorDash Dasher. Arguably one of the most popular side hustle platforms out there. So here's your new home screen. Take a look. Now, if you want to go deeper, even further on most of these stories, subscribe here. There's individual videos as well on some of these stories. So when you're looking at this new home screen, answer this question for me. Take a look. Answer this question. How important is design and organization when it comes to your gig apps? What do you mean by that, dude? Okay, how nice it looks, but also, utility. I'll give them that. Utility-wise, organization, clarity, how it's laid out and stuff like that. Because, I've seen a lot of iterations of DoorDash. Now look at these updates here. Let me know if this is like an aesthetic change, like it looks nice, or if this is something that'll actually help you on the road. Here's what you get. A streamlined home screen. Okay, cool. Making it easier to start or schedule dashes, check high demand areas, and access earnings. Simplified layout. There you go. Is that just aesthetics, or is it something that's like really going to matter? What do you think? Real-time earnings trackings. There's an earnings tab. Is it that hard to click on the earnings thing at the bottom of the screen? Quick tap to schedule your dash. Listen, I try to give you a neutral stance here on the Your Driver Mike Side Hustle Variety Show. Again, consider subscribing, you get the point. But that might actually help in certain marketplaces that's super high demand. Like, Mike, I gotta schedule a dash. You might like that if you want to dash and schedule ASAP because popular times will take it up, right? Earn by time mode. We saw that in 2023? And arguably it's gotten pretty popular. Would you argue? Type this in the comments or live. If you miss a live, click the notification bell, click all notifications so you'll be exactly notified when we go live. Now you can switch even easier, earn by time mode. But my question was, is earn by time as popular as earn per offer now? Put that in the live chat or the comments. I know earn by time is very popular. Now you can just tap one button. You can go into earn by time mode. Okay, that's cool. Switch your vehicle type. I discussed this, how many of us are switching vehicle types, but it's nice to have. And this is what DoorDash did. Again, just a couple of weeks ago. Let me know if that's more aesthetic or if that's actually utility and value added for you. So that is story number one. Crisp, clear, simple updates for you. A redesigned Dasher app. Pretty cool. And let me know if some of those are more valuable changes than others. Now, story number two. Check this out. staying on DoorDash, of course. In a follow-up to last month's newsletter that I sent to you, again, if you don't have it, it's free. You're at drivermike.com/newsletter. You get the best gig news, side hustle news. You can read it in 5 minutes or less. You get exclusive offers, announcements of what's going on here on the channel, and more. And trust me, there's some big announcements coming later this year. Got a brand new gig tool that I want your help to make it the best, biggest gig tool in what? A couple of quarters? Can we do it? But I want your support on that. I'm loving that tool. It's coming out later this year. Sign up for that newsletter so you can be in the know. But going back to our news here, DoorDash has officially acquired UK-based Deliveroo for 2.9 billion. What is that? Euros, pounds? Someone help me out there. I'm clearly versed in international commerce. But this is, again, a UK-based delivery platform. Why does this matter to you if you're not, let's say, outside of the US, right? So here's their announcement. Recent stuff just within the last month. So this is fresh. Officially acquiring Deliveroo. So what this tells me is they have some, cash flow, whatever it may be. They have some kind of capital / liquidity / whatever, stock options. And actually there's some acquisitions that have been all cash transactions recently. So DoorDash has the cash flow, an impressive amount of cash flow. Anyway, this tells me that DoorDash continues to make big moves. I said DoorDash is arguably the biggest, most popular side hustle app. It is. Even by the numbers alone. Now there's, updated numbers from Uber, because you might think it's Uber. It's, I think, Uber or DoorDash. Updated numbers from Uber in their Q1 2025 earnings call. It's 8 plus, I think it was 8.2 million earners on Uber. Uber calls them you and I earners because it encompasses both drivers and couriers. So they're unique in that sense where they have both, right? Both verticals. DoorDash is just delivery. They deliver a lot of stuff now, but 7.1 million. But we haven't gotten updated numbers from DoorDash. So it's probably still pretty close. Anyway, DoorDash making big moves internationally, acquiring UK-based Deliveroo. This tells me, A, not slowing down, aggressive acquisition. B, obviously interest in international markets, right? Not only international markets, but this is going to continue to lean into new verticals. They keep calling it new verticals, so I'm going to keep calling it new verticals. Grocery, retail, merchandising partners, other than food delivery. Food delivery is like the initial vertical, like the business vertical. That's kind of what it's referring to there. So they're being aggressive. They're continuing to lean into these new verticals here. And obviously, they're not slowing down. You could say again, look at their financials. I'm not a financial expert. That's why I don't dive into their quarterly filings itself. But they're keeping their foot on the gas pedal. But what I'm watching on the 3 pillars of the business, merchants, consumers, and dashers, is how much are they doing for dashers, right? Like, this is great. Customer front, it gives them more options for customers in the UK and surrounding marketplaces, etc. But I'm very curious what they're going to do in the coming year here. Thank you to Jose for the super sticker, folks. If you're watching live, clicking that $sign. If you want to show your appreciation to the team here, you can send a super chat, super sticker, or for free, just click that like button. Shout outs to Jose, Ryan, Shakira, Andrew 619, Mad Murph, Kevin, and those in the live chat, or again, if you're watching in the replay. Appreciate everyone being here. And stand to the end of the video for a Q&A, because I want to get your thoughts on any of these stories. But back to our stories. Great transition there. Let me set this one up for you. How you paid as a DoorDash Dasher. I know we're staying on DoorDash because they literally had that many updates in the past 30 days alone. How are you paid? Well, it's base pay. That's the company pay. There's promotional pay, challenges, peak pay, any other incentives or bonus pay, and then customer tips. That equals your Dasher pay. Now, there is something in our next story right here called flash offers. And when I first talked about this might be one of the highest margined bonus pay that we have ever seen from DoorDash. Frankly, almost any gig company, averaging $15 extra per offer. Not like $15 per hour, because you know how Earn by Time has active hour bonus pay? Like they're like, oh, we'll add $4, $6, $10 per active hour. Active hour is only when you're on assignment from when you accept to when you deliver. This is $15 per assignment. That is something. I mean, to have that kind of pay here is pretty impressive at $15. I'll tell you that. Now, I spoke with a Dasher, Chuck, from Dashing Across America. Feel free to check out the video we did together in his channel, again, aforementioned here, talking about flash pay. And last I checked, again, $15 per offer bonuses. How do I get it, Mike? A flash offer on DoorDash is sent we've never really seen this, when you're not online, and or you're like not even thinking about DoorDash, maybe you're just like, oh, I'm busy, I'm doing other stuff, I'm scheduled for a Dash like later at 5 p.m. and it's 3 p.m. and they send you a notification on your phone, a little drop-down notification, and or a text message. Like DoorDash texting you when you're not even working, but then they're saying, hey, if you want, we'll give you an extra $15 if you go online and you take a certain offer. So it will say $15 extra bonus for accepting McDonald's 3.5 miles, whatever. And it says, open the Dasher app and you get it. And I do encourage you, watch that video that I did with Chuck with the Dashing Across America. Fascinating to see. $15 extra just because, and again, why, right? Like, why would they ever do that? That's in addition to their base pay. That truly is. There's base pay. There's a flash offer bonus. It's called flash offer bonus. And then there's still tips from the customer as well. These are massive offers. But then a lot of us were seeing that it was only pertaining to small marketplaces. And in some cases, like pretty small marketplaces, like Chuck's marketplace there. So very interesting to see that. Let's move on. DoorDash expands portable benefits program to Maryland. And again, hang with me if you're not in, Maryland. I'm not in Maryland here, but why would this matter to you? Take a look. DoorDash announces portable benefits savings pilot program expanded to Dashers in Maryland. So what is this? Well, you know how you're an independent contractor, right? If you didn't know that, if you're thinking about doing DoorDash and Uber, Lyft, Grubhub, Amazon Flex, Walmart Spark, Roadie, Care.com, Rover, Wag, TaskRabbits, Fantuan, Hungry Panda, Field Agent. I still got more, folks. Respondent, user testing. Don't slow down now. Okay, well, if you want to compare 85 plus side hustles at a glance, get our starter guide at yourdriveformike.com. Again, that's our starter guide at yourdriveformike.com to compare 85 plus side hustles and their qualifications, most importantly. and it links out to said qualifications. So it saves you hours of, trying to research this stuff and find, different gig apps. And it links to applicable videos that I've done here on the channel. Now, I was saying, as an independent contractor, you have zero benefits. You have nothing. So you have no paid time off, you have no health insurance, offerings to you. So if, let's say, you're someone that does a lot of hours, and you better know this if you're going to do this full time, or like as your main source of income, there's no benefits. So you have to go to your state's marketplace and buy your own health insurance or dental or vision and stuff like that. That is exactly what I've done here as a self-employed business owner. YouTube's my thing. YouTube's my business. Also have an LLC under that. Also, that new business coming at the end of the year. Sign up for that newsletter. But they started this in Pennsylvania. I'm in Pittsburgh, and they started it here in Pennsylvania. And they said, well, it went so good there that we're going to expand it to Maryland. So here's the qualifications. Maryland Dashers who earn at least $1,000 from April through June before tips through the DoorDash platform and complete at least 100 deliveries from Maryland merchants, because this is obviously in Maryland, will be eligible to open a Stride Save accounts in July and receive deposits into their portable benefits savings. Specifically, beginning in July, participating Dashers will receive monthly deposits from DoorDash equal to 4% of their pre-tip earnings from April through September. And then you'll be able to contribute also your own money into that as well, and be able to select a benefits program, I would assume from Stride, their partner, which is a benefits provider for gig workers, not affiliated or sponsored, just throwing that out there, just reading the article. So again, how feasible is that for you? Number one, could you do that? $1,000 from, what is that? April, May, June, in a quarter, 3 months. So you got to make like $300 a month-ish, like a little bit more than that, like $333 technically, $335. So let's say you got to make $335 every month for a quarter, a quarter for 3 months. Is that fair? Can you do that? And then you get a 4% deposit for your pre-tip earnings. Do you think that's fair? Should it be like your gross earnings, or is it like, I guess, it's as a gross adjusted earnings, or however you want to title that? 4% deposit pre-tip. And then obviously you can contribute funds as well. Then you can have benefits. Is that worth it? When we had it here in Pennsylvania, DoorDash was like, hey, this is in Pennsylvania, this might be a good thing for you to try and, give it a go. And I'm thinking like, well, I could, but I help you make money in different side hustles, not just help make money for you doing DoorDash. I cover a lot of different gigs. Hence, I don't just work on one gig. In my opinion, the best place on the platform to learn about different apps in the gig economy. And again, we'll get into that at the Q&A portion here, but let's continue for probably the juiciest story that we've had in months. Do you want to hear a juicy story? Raise your hand and type me in the comments, or yes, type yes in the comments or the live chat. Because I'm not kidding, probably the juiciest story. Do you like a little like, I don't want to say, fine, drama. Do you want a little drama? Check out this next story. And I included this because everyone's like, yep, They're like, I love the business info, dude, but what's going on? What's going on? Okay. Listen to this next story. And I included this because it's not just me, fishing for drama. That's not what I do here on this channel, because I'd rather just spend your time teaching you how to make money versus going down the rabbit hole of drama. I want you to make money. I don't want to waste your time. But DoorDash responded to this. It was so big, the company themselves responded. So, okay, it's kind of a big deal. So what happened was the following. A DoorDash Dasher pled guilty to stealing 2.5, I didn't put a letter there that was probably important, million from DoorDash for fraudulent deliveries, working with 3 others and a former employee to make it happen. Whoa. I mean, I'm great. How are you? Thanks for being here, Adam. How are you after seeing this news, folks? So let's go into exactly what happened here. And I think it's pretty safe to say, as a driver, yeah, let's not do any fraudulent activities. And, this reminds me, I'll show you in a second. I'll show you after you like the video. I help you make money in different side hustles, but I have said this in a recent video, driving for Amazon Flex, as a lot of fellow gig workers, thank you, telling me these hacks to get around certain things and to make the platform work. There's hacks out there. And what I do here is I try to teach you best practices and protect your money in your accounts. So sometimes there's app hacks out there, but I do not want to teach or tell you anything that's going to risk your accounts, because then everyone's like, this guy told me to do that. So there may be some hacks out there, but I want to protect your accounts first and foremost. So let me just put that out there. So California man admits to scamming DoorDash out of 2.5 million using fake deliveries. That's not like a little bit of money. That's like, dude, what are you doing? So get a load of this. And this was recent. A former delivery driver has pleaded guilty to conspiring with several others to steal over 2.5 million from DoorDash, a San Francisco-based food delivery company. This is from Yahoo News. You can see the individuals listed here. Newport Beach, California. And this individual admitted to working with 3 others and a former employee of DoorDash in a fraud scheme that targeted the company between 2020 and 2021. Listen to how they did it and what happened here. In the scheme, the group caused DoorDash to pay for deliveries that never occurred, according to prosecutors. Prosecutors said the scheme resulted in more than 2.5 million in fraudulent payments. Look, this was between 2020 and 2021. Payments of 2.5 million. 2020 and 2021. 2.5 million. Is anyone else connecting the dots here? There is no statistical way any Dasher could make $2.5 million in a year. Even 2 years, 2020 and 2021. I'll just assume it's 2 years. If you're scamming $2.5 million, aren't you going to think that's going to send up a little red flag if your Dasher account is getting like deposit, and especially because, let me just continue. Okay. All forward charges, et cetera, et cetera. Well, that actually is all the main details of how they did it. So yeah, let me just continue here. 2.5 million in like a year or so. as a Dasher. So there'd be deliveries that never occurred and you'd get paid for it. It's 2.5 million in fraudulent payments. It's statistically impossible, man. What are you doing? Like, I know they say criminals aren't smart. My gosh. I'm trying to think of the math. Like, it would have to have been you're like receiving or you're completing deliveries every couple of minutes or like maybe minutes, and you're getting like every delivery. Somebody do the math on that. I have no idea. 365 days divided 2.5 million divided by that, and then how many hours in the work day. Some states you can only work 12 hours at a time, then you have to take a break. But even while he's in California, I think California is one of those states. But I digress. We have more stories to cover in this newsletter. I told you that one was going to be juicy here. I know it's hard to rally from that news, but there's a lot more news. And let's get into it right now. Our next story. DoorDash acquires another company, software company, SevenRooms. So this is a software company. Oh, by the way, here's their statement. I told you that DoorDash responded. They responded. So if you want to read this, you can go to their blog. This is from May 14th, as you can see. Or if you just want to pause the video right here real quick. They just basically said, yeah, we fired the person. Fraud is never acceptable, as you'd imagine, et cetera, et cetera. Going back to SevenRooms, though. So SevenRooms, software company. This one, I believe, maybe Deliveroo was an all-cash transaction. One of them was, probably that one. So in short, software company, it's going to help the restaurants and the actual merchants. What does this tell me if you're a Dasher, though? Like, how does a software company acquisition of this company help you as a Dasher? How does it affect you? Listen, there's always tie-ins. So while it seems kind of dry, like on this initial look at it, if a restaurant or a merchant has as you can see here, commerce platform, omni-channel tools, that just means like, okay, from complete, the complete workflow or the complete logistics flow, order fulfillments, tracking, rating, like all that stuff, right? Complete workflow logistics. If a restaurant can have better software that helps them run their business more smoothly, if it helps them, especially with staffing, frankly, if it helps them optimize staffing, and it helps them optimize their menu, because some menu items aren't moving as fast, whatever, pricing, there's software for all of this. And especially for their delivery verticals, I'm all for it. I mean, you could say, well, if DoorDash made these two acquisitions, SevenRooms and Deliveroo, in the same quarter, and in their earnings call, I did a video on their earnings call. If you want a summary of that call specifically, they were asked, like, you guys are making, you did two big acquisitions in one quarter. What does that say about your capital, allocation? They call it MNR, Mark, Nancy, Roger, mergers and acquisitions. So they were asked about their MNR. Like, well, talk to us about your mergers and acquisitions, because they're spending money here. So you could say, well, they're spending money on all these acquisitions. They're going to cut from somewhere. They're going to raise fees on the customers or merchants, or they're going to reduce pay on Dashers. This is exactly why you should subscribe. If you have, thank you. And at least, like the video. But it all works together, because then you and I need to watch, is pay trickling down? Is it tapering, right? Over this next year into arguably, I'd say Q2, Q3 next year, like literally in the next year or so. What are we seeing? Are they over leveraging? And, again, I'm not a financial expert. I I was going to tell you, I took one class in my MBA program breaking down company, like I think it's called S9s or whatever their quarterly filings. So I can't even remember the name. But I do know that we want to closely watch pay because I help you with the operational stuff. I don't, go into policy. I don't go into financials per se, maybe just the consumer level financials here. I help you operationally. Like, how do I do this? How do I work more efficiently? How do I work the best way? And again, that new tool coming this year is going to help you do that. I'm not going to say what the tool is. Back to our news, though. We just got a few more stories. Actually, our last story, I believe. No, 2 more stories. Lyft announces Lyft Silver, a new feature that connects older adults to Lyft's ride-sharing platform. A platform that I have not covered a lot. I mean, they've done some new things in the past couple of quarters with pay structure. They improved their navigation last year. They are a healthy number 2 in the rideshare space as far as market share. They're sitting fine. In my opinion, Lyft is sitting fine, but enough about that opinion. Let's get into this news here. So this is a transportation option for seniors. Now, you may think, how many niche products are Uber and Lyft going to offer? When I say niche, I mean dude, we have Uber Teens, we have this Lyft Silver. So come on, it's all the same thing. It's just repackaged. It's rideshare for an older adults or a teenager that's supervised by a parental account. That's all the same flavor. It's just painted differently here. So what this would mean, and again, I always try to bring this back to you. If you're a rideshare driver, things like Uber Teens or Lyft Silver, hopefully, I would ask, does this bring me more business? Is it reaching a new market demographic? And I would say yes. I mean, I know there's a lot of cynicism in the gig economy sometimes, especially from gig workers. Let's be real. Not all of us, but there's some cynicism there. But the goal is to reach new markets, new demographics. That just means people, right? So does it bring me more business? If they can carve out other niches, look, this is exactly why Uber and DoorDash first, more so, went into the new verticals, the grocery, the retail, the merchants, because it's, again, you could say the same thing. It's all delivery, dude, but it's another market segment, another vertical pillar of the business. Hey, now we do grocery. Now we do retail. Now you can shop at, whatever, PetSmart versus, in the past you could not. Same thing for this Lyft Silver. There's always been an option for older adults to use Lyft and Uber, but this is catered for them. So it's just, right here, simple by design. So it's just simpler, their interface, just even more easy to use. You can see comfort you can count on. Lyft Silver users will be prioritized for matches with vehicles that are easier to get in and out of. If you have elderly parents, like I do, and this is, something that is important to me, easily getting in and out of a vehicle. Or if they happen to live in more suburban areas where a lot of us, let's say millennial, Gen Z, what have you, you're very accustomed to technology and these apps, gig apps. You're oh, let me just fire it up and get a ride. But for a parents, older adults, these companies that are extending more so into sparse marketplaces, smaller marketplaces, and or just rural marketplaces, this sets up an older adult to be more comfortable with that technology. And I think a lot of us can agree, anytime you're getting into a new technology, if you're not familiar with it, and it's a little bit of discomfort there, and they're trying to make that easier. Last story. Yes, now it's the last story. Another acquisition, potentially. This company, Prosus, it might be Process, just spelled kind of differently. Anyway, seeks to acquire JustEatTakeaway.com. Why does that matter? Because this company, Prosus, launches an all-cash offer, so that company's pretty liquid, for JustEatTakeaway.com. Now, what's interesting, if you don't know about JustEatTakeaway.com, this was the company. They're a foreign-based company. I don't know if they're in the UK. They're in London. Just Eat Takeaway. Amsterdam. Anyway, it's in here somewhere. But Just Eat Takeaway is a international holding company that used to own Grubhub. So Grubhub, I'm forgetting who owned it here in the States maybe, but it was sold to Just Eat Takeaway. And they, coming from someone with modest business experience, I've worked customer service and retail, I've done sales. I do have my MBA in a, what's the word for it? A humble communications bachelor's as well. I mean, they did not do much of anything with Grubhub while Just Eat Takeaway owned that company. I think it's technically under Jets, but you get the point here. I saw next to no changes for the driver, on Grubhub. And frankly, I know they were trying to offload Grubhub as fast as possible. They lost a ton of money on Grubhub. I think they sold it at a loss or something like that. Just Eat Takeaway, I don't know if you're going to buy it seems so business 101. If you're going to spend billions or whatever it was to buy, let's say Grubhub or whatever that amount was, and you don't do anything with it, are you doing it for like a tax advantage or something? I don't know. But in the only 2 years maybe that they owned Grubhub, no new bonus incentives, no creative bonuses, no creative new offer types, no new verticals, no UI changes, basically nothing. I mean, there were some minor changes in there. I mean, again, this is coming from someone who's done gig work in different marketplaces, part-time and full-time, most every app and niche for almost 10 years now. It baffles me that you buy a company and you do nothing with it. I mean, you should have a relentless fire to improve that product. And there was nothing. So I'm sure they're very happy to get rid. Well, actually, no, that transaction is already done. They've already gotten rid of Grubhub. They got rid of it a couple of months ago, a couple of quarters ago, I forget, pretty recently. So now this, Prosus process company is looking to just acquire the entire holding company of JustEatTakeaway.com, which I don't know. But the direction of JustEatTakeaway.com, I just wanted to mention that because, the direction of that company, maybe that new one will take it somewhere else. And with that, I want to hear questions. What stories stood out to you most here? Was that little drama one? Possibly. What do you think about that? Changes to the Dasher app, more access for more Lyft passengers, this acquisition of Just Eat Takeaway. Let me know if you missed the Q&A. Just type your questions down below in the comments.